You think a massive rear wing is a secret to a fast lap? Well, you're only seeing part of the picture. The real speed, it's hidden. It's underneath the car, controlled by this thing engineers call the aerodynamic platform. All right, let's dive in. And for most of us, yeah, the answer is yes, right? We see this huge wing on the back and we just assume that fiddling with its angle is the main job of an aerodynamicist. But that's not the whole story, not even close. In fact, it's not even the main story. The truth? The most powerful, the most sensitive, the most critical aerodynamic forces, they're being generated in a place you can't even see, right underneath the car. See, to a race engineer, the word aero means something totally different. It isn't just a wing. It's about the entire car's posture, how it sits, how it moves, how it interacts with the air as one single system. And that's what they call the Aero platform. Yeah, they have a fancy term for it, vehicle attitude. But all that really means is the car's posture. You know, how high it is off the ground, if it's tilted forward or backward, that's called rake, and how it moves when you brake or accelerate. This whole posture, that's the aerodynamic platform. And get this, if it's not perfect, you can mess with that rear wing all day long and it won't fix a thing. Okay, here's the key idea. Think about an airplane wing. It creates lift because the air goes faster over the top, right? Well, a race car is basically an airplane flying upside down. It's an inverted wing. It uses the ground to squeeze the air and make it go super fast underneath, which literally sucks the car down onto the track. But just like a plane, if that angle of attack onto the car is wrong, poof, the downforce just vanishes. So let's pull back the curtain on this incredible, invisible machine. What are the actual parts working away under the driver's feet that are generating all this grip? All right, it all starts up front with the splitter. That's what begins creating some initial front-end downforce. Then, the air gets funneled into the underfloor. And this is the absolute heart of the whole system. It's like a giant funnel that speeds up the air, creating this huge low-pressure zone. Finally, that super fast air exits through the diffuser at the back, which expands really quickly, creating a massive suction effect. And that big rear wing we talked about? Its main job is really just to help balance out all the insane forces that the floor is creating. And this chart just drives the point home. It's incredible. On a modern GT3 car like the Ferrari 296, a staggering 70 to 80%, yeah, let's call it 75% on average, of all the downforce comes from that underfloor and diffuser combo. The wings and all the bodywork you can actually see, they're only responsible for that last 25%. And when you look at a diagram like this, you can really see how it all works together. It's not just a collection of parts. From the very front edge of the splitter all the way to the back of the rear wing, every single surface is designed with one goal in mind, managing the airflow to protect and maximize the performance of that all-important system underneath. Okay, so if this underbody system is so powerful, it must also be pretty sensitive, right? Oh yeah, you have no idea. We're talking about a game of millimeters where the tiniest change can have absolutely massive consequences. Just how sensitive are we talking? Well, a change in ride height of just 2 millimeters, 2, can completely throw off the car's entire aerodynamic balance and performance. To put that in perspective, that's about the thickness of a couple of credit cards stacked together. That's it. So this creates a huge dilemma for the engineers. On one hand, you want to run the car as low to the ground as possible. That's where you get the absolute maximum downforce. But it's super risky. Hit a bump, have a sudden change in direction, and the airflow can just detach. They call it a stall, and boom, all that downforce is gone, instantly. A higher ride height is much safer. It's more stable, way more forgiving for the driver. But you know you're leaving speed on the table. And if you don't believe me, look at the hard data. This is pulled straight from the Ferrari 296 GT3 technical manual. Check this out. If you raise the front ride height by just 1 single millimeter, the aero balance shifts to the rear by almost a full percent, 0.88% to be exact. That is a bigger change than adding a whole degree of angle to the rear wing. This right here, this is why engineers are completely obsessed with ride height. But of course, a race car isn't just sitting still in a wind tunnel. Out on the track, it's a completely different story. This super finely tuned platform is constantly being thrown around by braking, accelerating, cornering, everything. Think about it. The driver slams on the brakes. What happens? The nose of the car dives down, right? That drops the front ride height, which gives you a massive spike in front downforce. But at the same time, the rear lifts up, making it less stable. Then, on acceleration, the exact opposite happens. The rear squats down, pushing the tires into the track, but the front lifts up, which can cause understeer when you're trying to power out of a corner. The platform is never, ever static. And this right here leads to a classic pit lane scenario. The driver comes in and says, "The car's oversteering like crazy when I turn in." A mechanic's first instinct might be, "Okay, let's add some more grip to the rear." But the race engineer, they see the real problem. The root cause isn't the rear of the car, it's that the front is diving too much under braking. That's what's causing that huge spike in front aero, making the rear go light and unstable. The fix isn't at the back of the car at all, it's at the front. So how on earth do you control all this constant movement? Well, that's where the suspension comes in. And not just any suspension. On a car like the 296 GT3, they use these incredibly advanced shock absorbers called DSSV dampers. And their main job isn't really to smooth out the bumps. No, their main job is to be the guardians of the Aero platform, to precisely control the car's dive and squat and keep that platform as flat and stable as humanly possible. You have to think of the car as constantly talking. It's sending messages through the driver's hands, through the seat of their pants, and through all the data it's generating. And the engineer's job is basically to be a translator, to listen to that language and turn it into a setup change. Yeah, a driver isn't going to come on the radio and say, "Hey guys, I think my diffuser is stalling." No way. They're going to say, "The rear feels really nervous in the fast corners," and that's a clue. Or they'll say, "The car just won't turn in the high-speed stuff." And the engineer immediately thinks, "Okay, the front is lifting too high." Every single piece of feedback from the driver is a symptom of a deeper aerodynamic issue. And that's when they go to the data. That feeling the driver has is immediately cross-referenced with what the car's sensors are saying. They use these powerful software tools like WindowRab to look at hundreds of different streams of information coming off the car, and they turn that driver's feeling into cold, hard numbers. Here's a perfect example of what they look for. An engineer can overlay the data from 2 different laps. If they see that in the same high-speed corner, the driver is having to add more and more steering angle just to stay on the same line, well, that's the smoking gun. It's a data-driven clue that confirms the driver's complaint about understeer, and it proves that the front of the Aero platform just isn't working right at that speed. So after all of this, what's the one big idea you should take away? It's this. The goal is not just about getting the biggest, most impressive downforce number you can in a wind tunnel. A massive amount of downforce that's unstable, that comes and goes unpredictably, is worse than useless. It's actually dangerous. The fastest car, the one that wins races, is the one with the most stable and predictable aerodynamic platform, the one that gives the driver the confidence to push to the limit. So, the next time you're watching a race and you see a car dive into a high-speed corner, don't just look at the rear wing. Look deeper. Watch the car's posture. See how it reacts to bumps, how it settles under braking. Ask yourself, is it nervously darting around, or does it look like it's absolutely glued to the track? Because now you know the secret. You're not just watching a car anymore, you're watching its aerodynamic platform at work.